We all want to drive the golf ball like Rory, but what does he actually do in his golf swing that allows him to be one of the best drivers of the golf ball in the entire world? We're going to look at his hand path and how that relates to his angle of attack, whether or not you should copy his swing, and the club face angle that Rory presents throughout his golf swing. First of all, we're going to take a look at how Rory's hands work in the golf swing. In my opinion, this is what allows him to be one of the best ball strikers in the world. At the top of the backswing, you can take a look at Rory's arm structure here. When you take a look at the top of the backswing position for Rory, you can notice that the arm structure is significantly behind his body. Now, what that is going to allow him to do is a couple important things. As he transitions the club into the downswing, you're going to notice that the club will work behind him, which is due to where his hand path is. Because of how deep Rory's hands are, he can afford to push his hands out some amount and still have the club face in a good position. Now, what happens when we push the hands outward in transition is that the club head will want to shallow. Let me explain. As he works into the downswing, you can notice that the path that his hands will travel along will be something similar to this here. So his hands will start to work out, and what that will do will apply a force on the club that will shift it from this position here more towards the shallowing position. So the more your hands work out, the more the club shaft will shallow. Now, if we take Rory back up to the top of the swing, if you had someone with an arm structure that was significantly higher than Rory's and they pushed their hands out even more, then you would typically see a big gash slice. You would see a club path that is way too far to the left, and you'd be a terrible driver of the golf ball. But because Rory gets it into this position, he's able to work the hands outward in transition. Some would argue he doesn't get it out enough, and I would imagine that is definitely a tendency that he works on fixing. But because Rory's club head is behind him in transition and in the downswing, as he gets this club towards the hitting zone, as he's going to make impact, what you're going to notice is that he's going to be able to create an angle of attack that is 4 to 5 degrees up on it. This 4 to 5 degree up on it will allow him to hit a penetrating ball flight that will optimize how far he can hit the golf ball. If you're not sure what creates a penetrating ball flight and want to understand the most amount of your golf swing, you can work with me in the description below. I'll post a link, and for only $20 US, you can get a swing analysis from me. Being able to control the ball flight is one of the reasons why Rory is such an incredible driver of the golf ball. But do you think you should copy this movement? In my opinion, if you are someone who slices the golf ball, then you could add in a lot of elements from Rory's to offset that slice. Mainly this arm structure position. Now obviously you're going to have some flexibility to be able to create the hands working this far behind you in the backswing, but it is achievable. The most common reason why I see people slicing the golf ball is the fact that their arms are structured more in this direction here. That makes it very difficult to get this club on a straight line, and you'll typically see the club path just scrape massively to the left and hit big gashing divots or just big wipey slices that are uncontrollable. And the last thing we're going to look at is Rory's club face angle. Rory produces a neutral club positioning, but it's important to realize that it depends on the speed as to what your club face orientation would be, whether it's open, closed, or neutral. For Rory, in my opinion, if we draw that red line at the top of the backswing and it's at a 45-degree angle for his speed, then we're going to call it neutral. Now, it doesn't have to be neutral. It can be closed or it can be open. But for Rory, he's able to keep this club face in a position, which is what we would call a neutral position, for a very long time as it comes down towards the hitting zone. And what that's going to allow him to do is create a stable club face through the hitting zone and be able to manage the shot shape that he produces with his driver. If Rory had a stronger club face, we would see a big overdraw for him, and if we had an open face, we would probably see a big push out to the right. So the club face angle is an extremely important factor that needs to be considered when making swing changes. That, combined with a good club path and therefore a domino effect on the attack angle, those are the reasons as to why Rory is one of the best drivers in the world. If you enjoyed these insights, I have a free mailing list that will send you 27 insights for 27 days that will elevate your golf game to the next level. I'll post the links in the description, and if you have any questions, please let me know.